On this vote, the yeas are 48, the nays are 44. 3/5 of senators duly chosen and sworn have not voted in the affirmative. The motion is not agreed to.
Today in F*** You news, despite what you may have heard from J.D. Vance, it turns out Republicans hate kids.
We're effectively run in this country by a bunch of childless cat ladies. The entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. Maybe if we want a healthy ruling class in this country, we should invest more, we should vote more, we should support more people who actually have kids, because those are the people who ultimately have a more direct stake in the future of this country.
Boy, oh boy, you couch-loving weirdo, that statement's gonna come back to bite you in the ass real quick, and not in the way you think, folks. Now, Republicans talking the talk like that and not backing it up is par for the course, and their at worst hatred for and at best blatant disregard for children and families other than their own is not new news to anyone, because despite being pro-life for anything from gestation to fresh off the umbilical cord, Republicans would sooner Sparta kick a baby down a well than help lift it out of poverty.
This is Sparta!
And I know that sounds a bit hyperbolic, but as we'll see, it is not. Because today, Senate Republicans blocked a bipartisan bill that, among other things, would have expanded the child tax credit. You know, the pandemic-era program that briefly slashed childhood poverty, reaching more than 61 million children, and cut monthly childhood poverty by 30%, helping millions of kids who needed it most.
I recall very vividly when we were debating the enhanced child tax credits, the predictions that were made on lifting families out of poverty. I remember Senator Bennett going over those numbers with us as to the impact this would have if we enhanced the child tax credits. We then did it, and the numbers paralleled what the predictions were. We accomplished what we wanted to, lift families out of poverty.
The child poverty rate in the U.S. has more than doubled just a year after dropping to historic lows.
Back in 2021, as the economy reeled from the pandemic, a one-year expansion of the child tax credit led to a historic 46% decline in the U.S. child poverty rate. It dropped from 9.7% to 5.2%. New census data out today shows a dramatic reversal, with the rate of children in poverty skyrocketing to 12.4% in 2022. That's higher than pre-pandemic levels.
You gotta love the party of family values.
So that was a lie.
Speaking of which, here is Chuck Schumer absolutely demolishing his Republican counterparts on the Senate floor after the vote to block the bill.
Even House Republicans managed to unite long enough to pass this bill. With great respect to Senate Republicans, it's never a good sign to be more obstructionist than Republicans in the House. Senate Republicans love to talk about how they are the party of family and business. So it's very odd to see them come out so aggressively against expanding the child tax credit and rewarding businesses with the R&D tax credit. But that seems to be what they're doing. Instead of jumping at the opportunity to get this tax bill done, some Senate Republicans are organizing against tax relief. You heard that right. Senate Republicans are organizing against tax relief. Some of them were passing out leaflets at their lunch yesterday, smearing the bill. Here's one of the nonsensical arguments Senate Republicans made against this tax bill. You don't dare pass it, they said, because God forbid it actually helps American families, and then Democrats will get some credit. Can you believe that? Does that sound like a pro-family party? I don't think so. Instead of focusing on the election, Republicans maybe should focus more on the fact that this bill actually helped families.
Yeah, because like we said, Republicans don't give a damn about families. And this vote gets even more absurd the more you look into it. Because not only did they doom a bipartisan compromise that, as Schumer said, overwhelmingly passed in the House, which is notable because House Republicans have done jack shit legislatively this Congress, but the $79 billion legislation would have expanded eligibility for the child tax credit, or CTC, among the lowest income families and adjusted payments for inflation for the 2024 and 2025 filing years. It also would have bolstered certain business tax credits, including deductions for research and development, interest expenses, and investments in equipment that were limited in an effort to cap the total cost of President Donald Trump's 2017 tax cut law.
Senator Tommy Tuberville says he plans to vote no tomorrow on a bill to expand the child tax credit. The bill also includes a restoration of business tax breaks that were part of former President Donald Trump's 2017 tax cut. They have since expired. Senator Tuberville says he's in favor of those, especially a tax credit for research and development. But he says the child tax credit measure is nothing more than an attempt to, quote, buy votes in an election year.
I will be voting no on this legislation tomorrow. I hope that Chuck Schumer will decide to bring up the R&D deduction legislation separately so that we can get it done.
The House of Representatives.
Yes, Schumer, bring up the R&D legislation separately so we can get it done without those pesky kids getting any of my damn money. But in all fairness, Senator Tuberville was far from the only one to vote no on the matter. In fact, the measure fell short of the 60-vote threshold required to defeat a filibuster on a 48-44 vote, with Senator Bernie Sanders also voting against the bill, though he was arguing that it did not do enough to balance tax cuts for families with breaks for businesses, and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer changing his vote to no to make it easier to bring up the bill again for a future vote. And notably here, Senators Josh Hawley, Rick Scott, and Marquane Mullen were the only Republicans to vote to advance the measure. And as we said, Senator Bernie Sanders and Joe Manchin voted against it. There was one very notable person who missed the vote. Could you take a wild guess which Ohio senator that was? That's right, JD Children Are the Future of Our Country Vance was too busy yet again putting himself and his political gain first to go and vote in favor of children and families. It's so downright despicable and classic Republican. It's the same Republican BS that reminded me of this TikTok that I made well over a year ago covering a similar topic that still resonates just as truly today. I apologize for my attire. The shirtless tie and suit jacket was kind of my shtick, but enjoy. Today in Fuck You News, another Republican senator has voted against free school lunches because, quote, them kids. I'm kidding, of course. His actual reasoning in a philosophical musing that only someone as evil and misguided as a Republican senator could come to was because, quote, hunger is a relative term. Mommy, I'm hungry. Yeah, sweetie? Well, that's just like your opinion, man. But I totally see what he's saying. It's exactly like when I tell my credit card company that a late fee is a relative term and I'm not paying it. Take a look at exactly what the Nietzsche of hunger, Steve Draskowski, had to say.
I have yet to meet a person in Minnesota that is hungry. I should say that hunger is a relative term, Mr. President. You know, I had a cereal bar for breakfast. I guess I'm hungry now.
Deep. The man who brought you Schrodinger's metabolism is, like many of his peers, a superposition of stupidity and malice. So yeah, here we are well into 2024 and Republicans still couldn't give a damn about children or families. Thanks for watching. You know what to do if you enjoyed the video. We appreciate you all being here, and for Really American, I'm Kenny Hesse, and I'll see you in the next one.